Morissette was 21 when she released Jagged Little Pill. The album sold 33 million copies around the world and spent 10 weeks at #1 in Australia alone. 20 years on, the Grammy winner is re-releasing the album that changed her life and the lives of many who listened to it.
I think people of my generation would think that this was the album of our generation. Why? Why do you think it kind of caught on so much?
Well, I think when I wrote it in a vacuum. I was alone in a room with Glenn Ballard thinking that I was just sharing something that, was my own issues, and then I quickly saw that people were relating to it in a very human-to-human way. So we've all been growing together. I think over the last 20 years, we're all growing up together.
But you had no idea it was going to be this good, right?
No, I mean, I had no idea. I thought at the time they anticipated maybe 100,000 copies. And I remember hearing that number thinking, oh, that's too much pressure. That's too big of a number.
And here we are, 33 million later?
Yeah.
Jagged Little Pill made this down-to-earth Catholic girl from Canada a household name overnight.
It was kind of instant success. It was #1 in Australia for more than 2 months.
Yeah, it was. I remember having done a show at a club the night before You Ought to Know was released as a single. And it was a great show. We were cutting our teeth. And then the next night after the song was released, there was a lineup around the block at that club. People were singing You Ought to Know louder than I was. And I just remember thinking, oh, things have very much changed.
But all that attention would come at a price. As one of the biggest stars on the planet, Alanis never felt more alone.
For those of us that are not famous, we look at fame and think what a wonderful thing it was, but it didn't really stick that well with you initially.
No, I was sold probably the same bill of goods all of us were, which was that fame would connect me with people. I'd be kumbaya-ing with Johnny Depp and Sharon Stone into the sunset, or, Annie Lennox would be petting my head, and none of those things happened. I wound up feeling really separate from people, and it was quite devastating for me because I'm a connecting girl.
A self-confessed overachiever, Alanis struggled with her body image at the height of her fame.
Jagged Little Pill came out during the era of the Ally McBeal show, where all women and the standard for perfection was really being skeletal and 98 pounds. And certainly that's changed in a lot of ways. The standard of perfection just kind of keeps moving, the target keeps moving, but it's still a mechanism by which people beat themselves up, which is the sad part.
20 years later, are you comfortable in your own skin now? Is it something that we grow into, or is it something that, it's a lifelong battle?
To some degree, there's some assessment where I measure myself against the standard of perfection, but the best part about getting older, I highly recommend it, is that there is an element of my seeing myself as a whole human being. I'm a mom and an artist and an activist and a friend and a daughter, and, and I express and write every day, and my body's been a miracle to me. So I think taking care of my body and being kind to myself is much more fun than beating myself up for the rest of my life.
Alanis is also a self-confessed workaholic. She's often working in the office of her LA home until 4 a.m, but she finds balance through meditation and yoga and raising her 4-year-old son with rapper husband Mario Treadwell. And they could be heading down under.
We're very kid-friendly. You're going back anytime soon?
Oh, I didn't know that part back then.
Any plans to go back soon?
I'd love to go back. I'm finishing a book right now, and so once that book's out, I would love to go to Australia and talk about it.